You're right.
She got the impression.
A morning gown. Yes. So she's got some frilly stuff kicking around, but it's certainly not the predominant impression of her we get, that she is absolutely going through agonies about her toilette and the impression she is creating on other people.
Because she's completely disinterested and unaware of how she looks. Like most redheads, I think she probably hates her hair. Even though most people who are not redheads think that people with hair like that are gorgeous. Most people I know who are redheads are not.
They have a past in school and they've been teased about it, and they brought it with them. And if you've been regarded as weird all your childhood and adolescence, I think it tends to spill into your adulthood.
And I think she may have been regarded as weird in other ways. The odd one, the odd person.
She is tall for a woman. In high school, that'll kill you right away.
I feel like she suffers from low self-esteem, not where it comes to her work, but in her looks, and which is why she doesn't seem to have any care about, really, she kind of throws her outfits together. Of course, Judy Evans threw her outfits together, so they always look.
That is the nature of her. That was true of Catherine. I don't think Linda Hamilton stood around and said, 2 of these and 1 of these, and I like the blue one. I mean, a character was created, including the clothes the character wore, as part of the image. For heaven's sakes, that was true of Father, that was true of Vincent, that was one of the most carefully costumed shows I think probably there ever has been, because the range of variety was so great. The fact that Joe shows up in little bow ties is no accident. That is what Joe is.
Well, we saw her getting up. She was in the sweats and the socks and the shirt, and I thought, that's the way I sleep. This is when I first started to like her. I thought, this is me. Whereas I always thought that Catherine had drawers full of stuff from Victoria's Secret, which is fine. It's not me. It's not my life. But when I saw Diana in that outfit, I thought, that's it. I'm ready for when they come. I got the socks. One thing I think is interesting. I think it's probably, I don't know how many of you are aware of Manhattan, but I think it's probably true that she lives down in Tribeca or in Soho, which has very limited tunnel access, as we know from other episodes, because that's in the Chinatown.
No way down.
Yeah. So one wonders what Vincent has to go through to get there. Or to get out of there.
Before dark.
It was interesting at one point where he came to take her down below. Usually he goes over the rooftops. Well, this time he took her and went like inside into the house. So did he go out the front door?
That was one of her. It must be said that
he came in through the sky, tapped on the skylight.
He tapped on the skylight, but he didn't go in through the skylight.
He didn't go into the skylight.
He was in her apartment before he knew he was in her apartment. In other words, he woke up there and he stayed there voluntarily, at least until dark. He didn't panic, go, eat, I'm out! Whatever. And the fact that, as I say, a time to heal is such a pivotal episode, quite apart from the fact that not everybody has noticed, I gather, that what Diana uses to bind his head is a sanitary napkin.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I freaked some people. I thought, that's obvious. Look at it. What else is it? And what else is a woman going to have that is sanitary, absorbent, and is going to be appropriate for a heavily bleeding head that you were not geared up for? Anyway, what I wanted to say is the amazing frankness that he talks about his wife, which he has never done to Father, or certainly Catherine, that I don't know that he feels necessarily welcome. I think that would be putting too much emphasis on it at that point. But at the very least, he feels that here he can say things that he cannot say anywhere else, because my God, he does.
Well, he also he's not aware of what Diana actually really knows about him at that point.
Yeah, and she says rather arrogantly, you could never have imagined me. Well, she has, by God. And she just nods and says, oh no. She's tactful.
Wait a minute, talk about why is he comfortable? What do you see that brings us to believe that he would tell her?
Well, we have to really work back from the fact he does. In other words, so, would somebody care to comment on that?
Fine.
Okay.
Hey, you know what struck me is interesting though? When he saw her in the tunnels, and then when he woke up in her apartment, when he really woke up, and he was leaning against the wall, he said, "I've seen you before." Why wouldn't that have frightened him? Because she was an intruder in the tunnels.
Right.
But the first time that he saw her come into Catherine's apartment when she was investigating,
Was
she
that
turned
before
out the
or
light
after he
before.
saw her?
He's
Before.
standing,
First time
he
he
has
ever
the
saw
book in his hands, and then the police, she comes in the door. He disappears. He doesn't go away. He stands out on
Hangs
the
around on the
balcony.
balcony.
And he watches her come in and look at Catherine's things and touch Catherine's things. Now, if Vincent thought somebody wasn't touching Catherine's things in the right way, forget
He
it.
is quite capable of walking in and leaving slash marks all over her back.
And so he watched her do this, and as he was watching, I don't know, I think that he was getting impressions, and he was, of course, very full that he had just found that book and he was thinking about everything with Catherine. But she was going around, she turned on the music. Okay? All right. And then he watches her, and then when we see her going through the trunk with the doll, we don't know whether he's still there, but he saw her go into the bedroom probably, and you can see into Catherine's bedroom from the balcony too.
See, he was gone at that point because she went right out on the balcony.
She came to it, she came back, but when did he leave? Did he leave immediately, or did he, when she was walking through it? Because, I mean, he can melt away when he chooses,
So here's a conjecture, and I admit it's nothing more than a conjecture. I've been thinking about the bond and why it broke and how it broke for some time. And there's a lot of possible different explanations. I think Vincent himself puts it down to sex, but that don't make it so necessarily. I think Vincent puts almost anything he does that's wrong, that's hurtful, down to sex. I mean, I think that's the way he is. But anyway, I suspect that all the time through the trilogy, through The Lovers Be Lost, with the exception of Jacob's birth, where he clearly mistakes the heartbeat he feels from Jacob as being Catherine's. In other words, he don't know from nothing. He feels this psychic impression and doesn't know where it comes from or what it is, but that is the first thing he's felt in the silence, presumably in the roughly 6 months he was been looking for her. And pursues it and runs up on the roof yelling Catherine, when in fact she's down there and it's the baby going off in the helicopter. So clearly he does not correctly attribute what he feels. And except for that, I see no evidence that his empathic sense functions at all. Up until the time, I suspect, of a time to heal. I think suddenly and inadvertently feeling connected with somebody, in other words, I think that's why he suddenly thinks it's Catherine. That here is somebody who unquestioningly he feels close to and trusts, and who else could it be from his point of view? So I can't prove that. That is not a fact. That is only a conjecture. But I suspect that in a time to heal, that is when his empathy begins to come back, and the floodgates open with everything he has not been able to say, because in the face of this boundless acceptance and this amazing understanding that he has never known before in his life. He has people that like him, people that wish him well, but the person he's closest to in the world that is in his immediate presence now is Father. And we all know Father hasn't got a clue about much of this. He means him well, he loves him desperately, but understand him? Come on. So Vincent is not used to being understood, and that is a powerful liberator of energy. When all of a sudden you're with somebody that you feel you can say anything, and they will know what you're talking about. If you've ever been, I try to work by analogy of what I've known myself, and if you've ever been in a situation like that yourself, it's just an astonishing feeling of liberation, even if what you're spilling out is awful. It's just such a relief to get it off your chest. So that's kind of the context I put it in, but that is, as I say, only a conjecture on my part, not a fact, but I think it is a reasonable conjecture given the facts we have. But on that, there can quite legitimately be other interpretations like, why did he end up in the tunnel just when she went down to get mugged by the 3 guys who were hanging around the Struggies? Funny thing he was there, wasn't it?
someone may care to address that or not.